Welcome back to OT Sports. Today we got our Sweet 16 March Madness predictions. The original bracket's actually doing pretty well. We have 5 of our Elite 8 teams still alive. We have our whole Final Four still alive too, which is great after the first 2 rounds. But it's always nice to have a second chance to kind of just step back, take a look at where we are now, and redo some of our predictions. So I'll go ahead and tell you guys what I had originally, but also break down these new matchups because a lot of these matchups are actually very interesting. Before we get started though, Discord X linked in the description. Join that, follow that. Subscribe if you're new. We do college basketball, college football, NFL, NBA, and MLB. We made an MLB video yesterday. Make sure you go check that out. NBA video coming tomorrow. Also, check that one out when it's out tomorrow morning. But yeah, I think that's all I got to say. So let's get into this first matchup here. UConn and San Diego State. Now, I had originally UConn-Auburn here. I did have San Diego State winning against their first-round matchup, but then losing to Auburn. Obviously, Yale beat Auburn, and now we are here with the Aztecs taking on the Huskies. A championship rematch from last year where UConn really blew them out, and UConn's already a 10.5-point favorite here. I think San Diego State may come out with a little bit of, fire. If they shoot how they've been shooting this tournament, they could actually have a chance in this one. Jalen Ledie's been amazing this tournament. I think he has like 50 points in the first 2 games combined. So that's going to be a problem for UConn. And like I said, if they're making the shots like they were the past two games for them, they might actually run into some troubles here. But UConn, just such good guard play. I think Donovan Clingan down low and Caravan will be able to handle Jalen Ledie, really, give him some pressure down low. And, guard play, I think that goes to UConn too. Tristan Newton, Cam Spencer, Stephen Castle. I mean, they just have so many guys on this UConn team. They're one of the best offenses in the league. I think they'll be able to score on San Diego State's defense, even though they're very good defensively. And then looking at the other side, I don't think San Diego State's offense will be able to get much going against UConn's defense. Now, like I said, if they make the threes that they've been making the first 2 games, they could give them some problems. But I'm gonna have to go with UConn here. I mean, they've just been looking so good. They beat Stetson by like 40, and then, they also blew out Northwestern by like 15 or 20, whatever it was. San Diego State's struggled with UAB, who I wasn't very high on, and they also, they played a solid game against Yale, but not overly too impressive, I guess. I mean, they did win by like 20, 25, but again, it's Yale. I think Northwestern's a lot better than both the teams San Diego State's had to play. I'm going to go ahead and take UConn. They're a 10.5-point favorite for a reason. I think they match up pretty well here, and I'm going to stick with that pick. So UConn is one of my original 5 Elite 8 teams that are still alive. Here, I actually had BYU playing UConn. I had BYU beating Illinois and Iowa State. Obviously, I was wrong. Duquesne won that one in the first round, so that was a pretty big blow to my bracket, but this matchup's going to be amazing. Illinois is one of the fastest-paced teams in the country. They have the best offense in the country, actually, in terms of KenPom. And Iowa State, the best defense in the country. So this is going to be a very, very good matchup. Illinois first in offense, 92nd in defense compared to Iowa State's first in defense, 49th in offense. So Iowa State, if you're looking at just the KenPom numbers, they actually have the advantage here. They're favored also by 1.5. Both these teams are hot. They both won their conference tournament. Illinois winning the Big Ten, Iowa State winning the Big 12. And both of them have looked really good. When you look at who Illinois played, it's not as good, honestly, as Iowa State. They played a 14-seed Morehead State who actually gave them some troubles. They did pull away. And then they played 11-seeded Duquesne, who I wasn't very high on. Iowa State, they did play South Dakota State, who's not a great team. But then they had to go out there and beat Washington State, who is always going to be a tough matchup just because of their size. They handled them pretty well. So if you look at all that, Iowa State won a tougher conference. They have, the defense compared to the offense. I usually tend to lean more defensive in the tournament. Um, but something's telling me about this Illinois team. I don't know. Something's telling me. I got to go with Illinois. I know I just said all the signs are pointing to Iowa State here, but I don't think it's going to be all 1 versus 2 in every single region. And I feel like, this year's been a lot of chalk. When you look around, 1-4 and a 2 seed here. Now, NC State's the exception, but 1-5-3-2, 1-4, 6-2. There's like a one exception in every region. But besides that, every single 1 and 2 seeds here, almost every single 3 seed. It's pretty chalky this year. So I can't see that continuing to happen. And if it gets down to a close game late, which I think it very much will, I trust Terrence Shannon to make a shot more than anyone else on Iowa State. Taman Lipsey's very good, but is he better than Terrence Shannon? I don't think so. I honestly might trust Marcus Damask to make a shot late in the game when they need a bucket more than anyone else on Iowa State. I just feel like Illinois has those guys who can just take over a game, and that will be hard to do against Iowa State's defense, but I'm going with the Illini to the Elite Eight. Like I said, originally I had BYU, but I'm changing it up to Illinois here. Looking down in the West, UNC taking on Alabama. I had this matchup all screwed up. I had Michigan State versus St. Mary's and Michigan State to the Elite Eight. Never going to understand why I did that. But here we go. We got UNC Alabama. Now Alabama, one of the fastest paced teams in the country, similar to Illinois, but just a little bit worse offensively and defensively. Mark Sears has been amazing in the tournament. And yeah, Alabama got here after beating Charleston in a very high-scoring game, and then they beat Grand Canyon pretty handily in a kind of a sloppy game. UNC really impressed me with the win over Michigan State. I thought that one would be closer than it was. UNC top 20 in offense, almost just outside the top 5 in defense, and they are also a very fast-paced team. So I think we could see a very high-scoring game here, and if it turns into a shootout, I think this could actually favor Alabama. I'm not going to go with it. I'm going to go with UNC. They've been playing very good as of late, and I trust R.J. Davis to slow the game down when they need to slow down, speed it up when they need to speed up. I don't see who's on Alabama is stopping UNC's front court with Harrison Ingram, Armando Bacot. I really don't see where Alabama, matchup wise, can stop them there. Mark Sears and their guard play can only get them so far. UNC has really good guard play too. Their defense is I feel like their defense could give Alabama's offense. I don't want to say troubles, but they could slow them down a little bit. And I think coaching-wise, 2 very good coaches here. I feel like UNC is going to try and slow them down with their very, very good defense, and they have a very good offense too. So UNC is just a more well-rounded team or more experienced. So I'm going to go ahead and take them to the Elite Eight. Clemson versus Arizona. Originally, this matchup I had New Mexico, Arizona. New Mexico obviously lost to Clemson in the first round, and Clemson went on to beat Baylor. I did originally have Arizona in the Elite Eight. I'm going to go ahead and stick with it. I think Clemson's little run here comes to an end. Very impressed. Was not expecting this from this Clemson team. They're 24th in offense, 38th in defense. Overall, very solid team. But Arizona 9th in offense, 10th in defense. That's as good as you can get right there. They're one of 3 teams right now to be top 10 in offense and defense. Auburn is one of them who lost in the first round, and then UConn is the other one. So that's very solid. Now, they are a very fast-paced team, which does worry me. Clemson is a little bit slower paced, but I don't think they have the defense to shut down Arizona there. Omar Ballo versus P.J. Hall is going to be a very good matchup, but I feel like Ballo, just him being such a good athlete, I feel like he might give them some troubles there. And Caleb Love, I don't see who's going to keep up with Caleb Love scoring-wise, so I'm going to go ahead and take Arizona. Moving back over to the south, Houston Duke. This is what I had in this region here, so I got this right. And I'm going to stay with my pick. I'm going to go ahead and take Houston. Duke, very good offensively. and also very good defensively. This is a matchup where it's two teams inside the top 20 in KenPom. Houston 14th in offense, 2nd in defense, compared to Duke's 5th in offense, 19th in defense. I'm going to go ahead and stay with my original pick and take Houston to the Elite Eight. I had them there. I actually had Houston playing Kentucky. Not a great decision there originally. And I just feel like their defense can give Duke some problems. Jared McCain. I mean, this Duke team is loaded. Kyle Filipowski, Jared McCain, Jeremy Roach. They got a lot of guys over there. Mark Mitchell, but I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and take Houston. I feel like they had a little bit of a scare there in the second round against A&M going to overtime. A&M hit a huge shot. That was a great game. I feel like that might be a little bit of a wake-up call, honestly, for the Cougars. And yeah, I think, I don't know. I just think this Houston team, they had Emmanuel Sharp and LJ Cryer foul out in the A&M game. The refs, they weren't really on Houston's side, I guess you could say, in that game. All of the signs were pointing Houston to get upset. They still pulled it off. It was a high-scoring game. Houston doesn't typically get into those. All the signs were pointing for them to get upset there, and they pulled it out. I think that's a good sign for them. I think, coaching-wise, it's pretty even. I like both these coaches. But I'm gonna have to take Houston to the Elite Eight. I just trust their defense a little too much in this one. 11-seeded NC State. This is really the only Cinderella run, I guess you could say, we'd have. They won 5 games in the ACC tournament to get here. They've now won 2 in the NCAA tournament. I believe they're on a 7-game win streak at the least. They might even be more. I don't know how they finished their regular season. DJ Horn and DJ Burns, what an amazing duo they have there. They're going to go up against Shaka Smart and Tyler Kolek, Cam Jones, Iguodaro. A loaded Marquette team there. It's going to be a fun game. I think, NC State, definitely America's team at this point. But I just can't go against Marquette. I feel like this honestly might hurt NC State having to wait a little bit. I feel like they might get out-coached here in this matchup. And, they're hot. I don't think they want to slow down. I think they want to keep going, keep playing. Maybe not. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they need the breather. But I just think that, I don't know. I just think that Marquette gets them a little bit, out of their comfort zone. I feel like they're just gonna get out coached here. NC State. I feel like they had a nice run, but can I see them in the Elite Eight realistically? They're 40. They're just outside the top 40 in offense, 75th in defense. Compared to Marquette, though, 19th in offense, 21st in defense. Yeah, I feel like Tyler Kolek will be the difference maker here. He's gonna make some plays. Cam Jones had a very underrated tournament. A lot of people talking about Tyler Kolek. I feel like, honestly, Cam Jones has probably had the better tournament so far than him. And, Iguodaro, I feel like, could match up all right against DJ Burns. And, DJ Horn really hasn't done much in this tournament for the Wolfpack. Maybe he turns it on, and if he does, that could be the difference maker. But I'm going to go ahead and go with the safe pick here. And I'm going to go ahead and take Marquette to win this one. But now moving over to the Midwest. Now this is the one region I have a perfect Sweet 16. I almost have a perfect bracket in this whole region. The only game I have wrong is I had Samford beating Kansas, and they honestly should have. That missed block they called a foul was just a bad call. If it wasn't for that, who knows? I could have a perfect Midwest bracket. So with that being said, with it being perfect, I'm gonna stick with my original picks in this bracket. So for those of you who watched the video, you already know where this is going. But I will explain. So I'm going with Gonzaga over Purdue. I feel like Graham Ike, just with him being an amazing athlete that he is, I feel like he could give Zach Edey some problems. Gonzaga's been playing amazing recently. They blew out McNeese, who some people had getting to the Sweet 16, and people were very high on them. They blew him out. Then they went out and blew out Kansas, who Hunter Dickinson, an amazing defensive player, not an amazing defense player, amazing offensive player, similar to Zach Edey in terms of size, in terms of dominance on the floor. Gonzaga blew them out. They had no troubles there. Purdue's been lights out this tournament, but I still do worry if they have an off shooting night. It's really just wraps. I mean, it's over for them. Gonzaga's been so consistent. I trust their coach. I trust Mark Few a little bit more than I do Matt Painter in the tournament. I feel like Gonzaga get them. They played earlier in the year. Gonzaga was leading at half. They went on to lose. This could be a revenge game from that. I'm going to go ahead and take the Zags to the Elite Eight. And then in this matchup, Creighton versus Tennessee. Dalton Connect versus and Zakai Ziegler, all of them, versus Kalkbrenner. I'm blanking on the names. Baylor Shireman. I don't know why I'm blanking on the names, but you know they got a lot of guys over at Creighton. They just knocked off Oregon in a great game, double overtime. They dominated in the second overtime period. That was a great game, probably the best game of the tournament I've seen so far. Like I said, Baylor Shireman, Trey Alexander, Kalkbrenner, Stephen Ashworth. They got a nice little core right there. Compared to Tennessee, it's really just Dalton Connect. I mean, it really is. They're just inside the top 30 in offense, 3rd in defense. Compared to Creighton, 11th in offense, 23rd in defense. They're a little bit more slower paced. They're more efficient offensively by a pretty big margin, and defensively they're very solid too. They're a more well-rounded team. I think they have a couple more guys who can go out and get a bucket compared to Tennessee. I like how they've been playing recently. I think they're better coached. Going with the Creighton Blue Jays to get to the Elite Eight. This was my original prediction in this region. This is the only region I have my Elite Eight alive, but my whole Final Four is still alive. So let's see what I go ahead and go with. So first matchup, two heavyweight offenses collide here. I think the difference maker is the defense for UConn. I feel like Illinois had a great run, but I feel like they're just out-coached here. They're outmatched. UConn has the guard play to keep up with Shannon. Going with UConn to the Final Four. That was my original pick. I'm going to stick with that. They've been playing lights out. In the West region, UNC versus Arizona. This could be the game of the tournament. Caleb Love, revenge game. UNC revenge game. Caleb Love versus RJ Davis. Omar Ballo versus Armando Bacot. It could go either way. In all honesty, it really could. Both these teams pretty fast-paced teams. Arizona 9th in offense compared to UNC 17th. 10th in defense compared to UNC's 6th. It's about as even as a matchup as you could get. The Caleb Love story really trips me out on this one because originally I had Arizona to the Final Four, but I feel like it's this matchup. I really have a hard time thinking UNC doesn't win. It's pretty tough here. This might be like I said, this could be the game of the tournament right here. Caleb Love, he played with UNC 2 years ago when they made the national championship game as an 8 seed. How will he do against his former team? They just have so much depth. But I feel like Arizona does it. I'm going to stick with my pick to the Final Four. I'm going with the Wildcats. This could come back to bite me because I really do think UNC could win this game, and I wouldn't be shocked if they end up here instead of Arizona. But I'm going with my original pick. I'm going to stick with my gut. Take Arizona to the Final Four. Now over here, Houston taking on 2-seeded Marquette. Emmanuel Sharp, LJ Cryer, Jamal Shedd versus Tyler Kolek, Cam Jones, and Iguodaro. That is a great 1-2-3 versus 1-2-3. Both very good coach teams. But again, I'm going with my gut. I'm going to take Houston. I think their defense is a little too much here. Marquette's been playing really good. But how will Cam Jones, Kolek do against Houston's very defensive guard play, their slow-paced game? I don't know. We will see. Marquette's a team that likes to go out there, go fast. Kolek doesn't turn the ball over very much, but in this game, I think he might. I trust Houston. I think they got a wake-up call against A&M. I think they get it done over Marquette. Now in the Midwest region, again, I've stuck with my Final Four pick every single time here, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to stick with my Final Four pick in this region too. Give me Creighton. They've been playing very good. A lot of people are saying they shouldn't have beat Oregon, which I think is a dumb argument. They won by 13. Oregon did choke the game away, yes, but Kuznard and Fali Dante, those can't be your only two guys to score an entire half of basketball. I mean, it just... I don't think that you should be knocking Creighton because they beat Oregon in double overtime. Oregon was a team that was very hot, a very good team, and in the tournament, they're always a scary team to play. I think if Oregon played, some other teams if they played Tennessee, I feel like Oregon would have won. I don't think we should be knocking Creighton for that. In all honesty, I really like this Creighton team. I think they're a little bit more well-rounded here. I think Kalkbrenner can match up really good against Graham Ike, and they just have more guys around him to score compared to Gonzaga. Two very good teams in the tournament. I think Creighton, after losing out on a Final Four last season at the last second, I think they get there this year, set up a date with Houston. Now in the Final Four in Phoenix, Arizona, UConn taking on Arizona. It's basically a home game for Arizona. I don't think it matters. UConn's on a mission this year. Dan Hurley, Tristan Newton, Cam Spencer, Donovan Clingan. They just got so many guys. Caravan. I think they just outmatch Arizona here. These are two teams, both inside the top 10 in KenPom, and both offense and defense. UConn a little bit more, they're a lot better offensively, 2 compared to 9, and they're better defensively, 9 compared to Arizona's 10. Arizona's a team that's very fast-paced. I think that comes back to bite them. I don't think UConn's going to let them run in this game. I think UConn outcoaches them. Dan Hurley's a great coach. I think they get back to the championship game. Now we got Houston versus Creighton. Again, I'm sticking with my pick. I had some differences just because some of my Elite Eight was all messed up. I kept it in the Midwest. Had Houston to the Final Four. I had Creighton. I'm going to stick with my gut. I'm going to stick with my original one. I'm going with Houston to the championship game. I think these have been the two best teams, the most complete teams all year. And I think this will set up a great game. I think Houston defensively can give Creighton some problems. Now, can Creighton win this game? I think they can. I'm really high on this Creighton team. I think, Kalkbrenner, Trey Alexander, Baylor Shireman, Stephen Ashworth, great 4 guys right there. But Houston, they will just wear you out defensively. I just think they're too good, too solid, too hard to break through. I think they get it done. LJ Cryer, Jamal Shed, Emmanuel Sharp to the championship game to take on the UConn Huskies, who I think are going to be your national champions. I'm sticking with my pick. I've stuck with my gut this whole time. I have the same Final Four. Now this one right here could be the one that if there's anyone that I would switch out of these, I would switch UNC here. I'd still take UConn though. And I think that says something. Out of all these teams, I trust UConn way more than I do any other team. I think that says something. UConn's first in KenPom for a reason. They were number 1 in my Power 40 for more time than anyone else this season. Houston was there for a good amount. So is Purdue. But UConn, I trust the most. I think they're the most well coached. They have the guard play. They have the front court to hang. I think Clingan and Caravan could have a big game against Houston. I think defensively they're solid and they're good enough to stop Houston's offense. These are both slow-paced teams. I think this would probably be like a 70-67 type game, 70-66. I just think overall UConn's more well-rounded. They're better coached, and I think they go out there and win the championship. I think they repeat, and they are your 2024 March Madness back-to-back champions. So yeah, that's going to do it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you go down there, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Like I said earlier, we do college basketball, college football, NFL, NBA, and MLB. So if you're interested in any of that, subscribe, turn on the noties. As always, Discord X linked in the description. Join that, follow that. But with that being said, that's all I got for you today. I will see you guys tomorrow with episode 11 of NBA Playoff Watch. Hope you guys enjoyed this one.